Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to day 3 of 100 days video on performance testing, where you're going to upskill your performance testing and performance knowledge skills. So, today in this video, I'm going to ask you 10 questions from the topic we have discussed on day 2, where identifying the test environment. So, all these questions are going to be from there. And the reason I'm going to ask you all these questions is I have to understand whether the knowledge which I have shared on day 2 is being shared across you, and also it's to evaluate myself. It's not to evaluate you, it's to evaluate myself that whether I have been in the right track. So please do comment the answers in the comment section, and it's not going to judge anybody. If you really do not want to uh, uh, comment, please do send your answers in the email. So I have got 10 questions for you. And why is these 10 questions? So in all the performance testing interviews nowadays, the questions is not like direct questions. They used to come up with multiple scenarios. The interviewer is asking the people on various challenges, various scenarios on how this work, on how that work. So that's the reason I have come up with all these 10 questions. And this 10 questions are basic questions. In case if you find it really difficult, please do comment that too in the comment section so that I can come up with some more uh, a little easy answer, but don't expect any direct questions in your interviews, and the same way here, right? So, moving on to the first question. Can you describe a scenario where the test environment significantly differed from the production environment during a performance testing project, and how did you handle this challenge? So, why this question is asked, the very first question, like to describe the scenario where the test environment significantly differs from the production during a test and testing project. So, the first question, assesses the candidate's experience in dealing with variations between the test and production environments. And if you really want to answer in a very well manner, so you should include a specific example. So I would definitely tell everybody, everyone in our group and subscribers to add a specific example. So in this question, so you have to add an example where you have to tell about the impact on testing and the measures that are taken to mitigate the discrepancies. So that's the first question for you. And moving to the second question. So the second question goes like this. So what steps do you take to ensure that the hardware configurations in the test environment closely resemble those of the production environment? Because in our discussion on day 2, we have discussed a lot about why we should emulate the uh, why we should have a pre-production environment, a mimic of the production environment, right? So this question, the second question, evaluates the candidate's understanding of hardware configuration alignment between the test and the production environment. And a comprehensive response should cover methods for hardware verification. So you have to cover those methods, like how we're going to verify the hardware, such as using the server specifications and the visualization technologies. So that's the second question for you. And moving on to the third question. How do you simulate network architectures and end user locations in the test environment to reflect real world conditions? And I believe I have discussed this in the uh, the areas where we are going to reflect the geographies, right? So this question, the third question, tests the candidate's knowledge of network simulation techniques, and a strong response should mention strategies like network emulation tools, the geographic load distribution, and network latency testing. So you have to address all these in your answers. And moving on to the fourth question, could you explain how you address load balancing implications in the test environment to accurately simulate the production conditions? And this is very important because anywhere in our testing, we are going to simulate the production conditions, and that's the reason. So we have to address, as a performance tester or performance engineer, you have to address how we are going to address the load balance implications. So I think we have discussed about this load balancing as well, right? So this question assesses the candidate's familiarity with the load balancing configurations, and an effective answer should discuss techniques for load balancer validation, such as configuration verification and load distribution monitoring. If you really feel this question is too advanced, please do comment in the comment section. But anyways, I'll come up with the answers. I have the answers ready with me, but we'll discuss the answers in our next video. So, but still, I would want you to try these questions so that you get well versed with the topics, with the knowledge, right? And now, going on to the fifth question. So, what considerations do you take into account when selecting and configuring load generation tools for performance testing? And this is a very, very important question. And most of you must have come across this question like, on what considerations? So, why are you selecting or why are you configuring or why do you really need the load generation tools for? Like, what are the points that you really take into account when selecting a load generation tool or a load testing tool for performance testing? So this question actually evaluates your expertise in load generation, tool selection and configuration, and a thorough response should cover factors like protocol support, which I was telling from my very beginning video. So protocol support, the scalability aspects, the scripting capabilities, and the resource consumption. So all these are very important and you have to cover all those responses. And moving on to the sixth question, how do you handle environmental impacts caused by performance monitoring tools during testing? So this question tests your awareness of monitoring tool effects on test environment. So this question might come up to you because in day two we have discussed about a little on the monitoring tools as well. So a suitable answer, your answer should include strategies for minimizing the monitoring overhead, suggest adjusting sampling rates and monitoring only critical metrics, right? So you have to cover all these points. And moving on to the next question, can you discuss methods for validating name resolution with DNS? So we all know what is a DNS, domain name system, to address latency issues in performance testing. So this question assesses your knowledge of DNS validation techniques and your response should mention procedures like DNS cache verification or round trip time measurement and DNS server configuration checks. In case if you really feel this question is very complex for you, please do comment in the comment section. I'll give you answers. Anyways, I'm giving you the answers, but still, I'll come up with more answers if you really want some focus on this area. And moving on to the eighth question, how do you ensure that firewalls, routing, and other network components treat generated loads similarly to real production traffic during performance testing? So I'll read this question again for you. So how do you ensure that the firewalls, the routing technologies or the routing algorithms and other network components treat the generated load similarly to real production traffic during performance testing? Because again, as we imply on the point that we have to emulate the production environment in the testing environment, this is again another important question. So how do you ensure? So we are doing a testing, I understand. So how do you ensure that those firewalls, those routing algorithms and everything works in a way that they're simulating the real production traffic? So this question, if you answer this question, it will evaluate your understanding of the network behavior simulation, and a strong or a satisfactory answer or an answer that will make the interviewer to get satisfied is you should cover techniques like firewall rule verification, the routing tool table inspection, and network traffic analysis. So you have to cover all these points when this question is asked to you. And moving on to the next question, could you describe your approach to identifying critical system components and integration points for performance testing? So, again, let me reiterate this question. So, can you describe your approach to identify critical system components and the integration points? So, these are two important points like critical system, identifying the critical system components and the integration points for performance testing are too critical and we have to identify it. So what is your approach to do this? So this question tests the candidate's methodology for system component analysis, and I would say a satisfactory or a very good response for this should outline procedures like your system architecture review, your component profiling, and the integration point identification. So it's not just about when you're going to test, it's not just about you're going to just go through the transactions. You should understand the system architecture. So you should have a review of it. So you must answer all those things. You have to tell them that you're going to do the architecture review, you're going to do a profiling, you're going to do the integration point identification. So if you are covering all these points, all these key points, the interview will definitely convinced by your answer. And moving on to the last question, how do you collaborate with IT staff and system administrators to optimize the test environment for performance testing? So this question will assess your teamwork. That's very, very, very important. No matter where you work, you have to have a good teamwork and a good communication skill. A good answer should describe your method for engaging with the IT personnel, such as establishing clear communication channels, defining roles and responsibilities, and fostering collaboration throughout the testing process. So even you can come up with some of your examples where you have very well communicated with the team and where you are able to fix the issues at the earliest. You have come up with a better plan. So just answer all these questions and you will be in a better position to clear your interview. So as I have already told you, this is not going to evaluate any of you. This is just going to make an understanding like where you are standing, and it will definitely help you in your interview for sure. And even if these questions are not answered, if you are willing to bring up these questions, if you are very well knowledgeable to answer all those questions, you are able to make up these questions, that the interview will definitely be impressed by your answers. So as I told you, please do comment in the comment section. Just give the question number and your answers. If you really do not want to comment in the comment section, please do send me an email. I'll just go through your answers. And definitely tomorrow we'll discuss all these answers in our next video. And I'm going to proceed with the day 4, the day 5 videos only after you answer these questions, because it's not going to be just a one way. I just want your understanding as well. So I definitely feel, I know people are commenting to all my videos. I definitely believe you people will answer my questions to this video. So until I meet you in our day 4 video, it's bye bye from Asan Shanmugam and Little's Law.